Hey, cheers. I do buckaroos. How the heck are you? I am Tom the Beer Whisperer, but you knew that, man. And so what we typically do is 6 o'clock start time, but we decided to start early, so I might have caught some of you by surprise here. But hey, joining me at the pub is Scott Keeton, a legendary musician out of OKC. Uh, Played some blues back in the day, I remember. I guess I'm gonna have to paraphrase slightly, but I remember. See, I used to catch you at a lot of blues fests. And I remember you saying something to the effect that we get invited to a lot of these blues fests, but we're really more of a rock and roll band.
Probably, yeah. Uh, you
And
know,
when you said rock and roll, what you meant was like rock and roll. You were talking more like, Bobby 4-4, that kind of thing, right? The Crickets.
yeah. So roots rock, certainly.
Yeah.
Before there was Americana, it was called roots rock, at least.
Is that where you consider yourself roots or Americana?
Man, I don't know what they call it. That kind of.
It keeps getting reclassified, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm from Oklahoma City, from this part of the country, and all of the indigenous musics and people and all of that stuff, plus all the stuff you just absorb and love. And it's just, you know, you're kind of like the little end, and you got this big end where all that stuff comes in, and then what comes out of the little end is whatever it is. So I was never obviously a marketer's best friend, um, which actually caused a lot of consternation. You're too blues, you're not blues enough. You're too rock, you're not rock enough. You're too white, you're not white enough. You're too, and I mean that musically. That actually at one time was a musical term.
Yeah, yeah.
And all I know is the people that I've worked with and the I dare I say fans, but people who enjoyed the music never complained, or if they did, I didn't hear them. I'm sure maybe there were some complaints, but I'm talking about what kind of music it was and the flavor.
The first disc I had of yours was the 500 Mile Blues.
100 Mile Blues.
100 Mile Blues, that's right.
Yeah.
100 Mile Blues, yeah.
And that was on JSP Records out of London, England.
Yeah. And I had a separate disc from you. I think it just said Anthology, but I had this tune on there that was my favorite when we used to see a lot. It was called Drinking Whiskey. Do you remember that tune?
Oh, I wrote it.
And yeah, okay. I know, but you wrote a lot, Oh, I love that tune.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll play it later. My son's coming. He's cross town, so he's going to come over. But yeah, sure.
We'll kill some time till he gets here. It'll just be two old guys talking until.
Get off of my lawn.
I kind of joke with my wife. I said, I'm entering my curmudgeon phase. And she says, entering? No, dear. You're knee deep into your curmudgeon phase. Yeah.
That's right. How long you been married?
My wife and I hit 28 years in September. We'll be 29 this year, assuming she keeps me that long.
You do realize you get less for murder in most places, right?
That's what I told her. I said, if you'd have killed me, you'd be out by now.
That's it. That's an Eric Idle joke.
But you and I know why we stayed married this long, because she's my designated driver. When we were going to the clubs all the time, she would haul my drunk ass around. So,
well, somebody's got to.
I don't drink and drive. That's what I got a wife for.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. I can drive. I just can't get pulled over.
That's right.
Was the whole thing back in the day. Yeah. Well, like we were talking about, I don't drink for quite a while, or anyway. But I certainly have spent many of time spending the rest all over the world. So I certainly can appreciate that and all that comes with it, good and the bad.
Now, if I remember right, Jaeger and Crown.
Depends.
What I remember you drinking.
So the Jaeger thing happened because you talked about the Deviants. So the Deviants started in 1993, and here's how it started. There was a club called Liberty D's in Norman, Oklahoma, and I was living in Norman at the time, going to music school, if you can believe that. Do me, so me, do la,
What I did here.
do. Anyway,
Accidentally hit the. There we go.
hey, Scott Springfield, that's cool.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, I was trying to get. I accidentally hit the other button and took you off the screen. Now you're back. Scott Springfield says, "Good to see you, Scott."
Well, that's it. You've pissed me off now.
Yeah, I am technologically challenged. I am that stereotypical old person that cannot handle technology.
I had to download Chrome to make this shit work, so I get double scale for that.
All right, the check's in the mail.
That's right. IT guy for the beer whisperer. Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
So the Deviants came about in 1993. There was a club called Liberty D's, and me and a bass player named Cole Johnson, and I can't remember if Newberry was there or not, but we were hammered as usual. And so this was an old drugstore. So imagine the bar is like where they would pull sodas and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was beautiful, ornate. Ah, well, lovely, wonderful. But if you were sitting at the tables and looking at the bar, you would notice that there was a almost mirror-like strip of metal directly underneath the bar. And if college girls sat in the bar stool, well, there was a mirror right there. And so the owner realized what we were doing because we were having quite the time and came over and said, "You deviants, get the fuck out of here."
So, that's how you got the band name. All right.
Then, after we actually started kind of having a little buzz, I don't mean the drinking buzz, I mean the musical, whatever they call that, people going, "Hey, this is okay, this is good, whatever." We found out there was an English punk band called the Deviants in England.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Well, they weren't together anymore. So the label we were negotiating with at the time said, "Well, just call it Scott Keeton and the Deviants." And so, like we were talking about marketing. That was great for the people that already knew us and liked us, but in the blues or the alligator label type stuff, they thought it was too harsh. Sounds like a punk band. Well, it is in England. So whatever.
Oh,
Yeah, I have never had much patience. I spend so much time doing the music, all the other stuff I am not good at, I'll freely admit. And it was it was a detriment, or has been a detriment. I mean, we're still around. What is that, 93 to now? 25 years? No, I can't. 30 years. Yeah. So, we still play, still do a lot of stuff. Like I told you, I'm in the Million Mile Club. So, I think you said, do you miss it? I'm still doing it, but the traveling, of course, I don't miss. It was probably 20 years of going to New York City before I ever got to see it. You pull in and unload your stuff and worry about, whatever the traffic or whatever, and play, and then try to get paid. And then you have to go to the next place. You don't get to hang out. It wasn't until much, I'd been there before as a tourist, but I'm talking about it hadn't, playing wise, there's not a lot of time for sightseeing. So, the people that you meet, we were talking about Nathan P. Murphy's, what a wonder, Dr. Bob and everybody, and what wonderful people, so you find those places along the way. The Zoo Bar in Lincoln, I was talking about, all over the Grand Emporium back in the day, Roger Neighbor in Kansas City. These places, a lot of them aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
But I remember when it snowed one time, we were already out of the road, pulled into Nathan P. Murphy's. The gig got canceled. We had one of the best times of our lives. We played and did all kinds of stuff. It was shut down, literally feet of snow. We slept there. Bob and them put us up there. It was fantastic.
They were great folks, man. That was a great club.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
So, and actually, a little segue, that's where I first saw you.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if it was 99 or 2000. I think it was 99, but I'm not 100% sure. Because I was at a blues fest downtown Springfield, and they had bands at some of the venues.
Right.
And I was walking around to see what venue I wanted to go to, and I saw the marquee that said Scott Keeton and the Deviants. I said, okay, that's the band I'm going to see. So although it might have hurt you in other ways, that's how I walked in because of the name. I liked the name, the Deviants. That's how I ended up at Murphy's that night.
I have been proven right again.
Right. I remember I bought the disc that you had for sale that night, and I came home. I told my wife, I said, "You got to listen to these guys, dude. They're freaking amazing."
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, that would have been the JSP record, and that would have been the Jack Daniels. It's weird how I can't remember a lot of stuff, but I remember that. I have a picture of that, actually. Let me get that and see if you can see it. That's hilarious.
And I'll keep talking until he comes back. But one of the amazing things about the show wasn't just the music, and the music was incredible. Don't get me wrong, but it was that how engaging the band was. Right, I love bands that will bring you into the show. There was a introduction, sometimes a little story before and after every song. And again, he just kind of drew the band in. That's why I was really drawn to that band, both musically. It was just an amazing show to watch.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. So this is let me see how. This is a picture of me with Bob, steady rolling Bob Margolin, and there's Newberry back there. It was Southern Comfort, not Jack Daniels.
Oh, so was that at Murphy's?
Yeah, that's at Murphy's.
Okay, so I was there that night.
Yeah, that's us at Murphy's.
Yep. I was there that night when Bob Margolin was there. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. He was playing some kind of...
I was in the house, man.
Yeah, so he was playing what he called a fancy gig with the I can't remember but it was like the Muddy Waters band.
Yeah, it was the Muddy Waters tribute. It was at Juanita K. Hammond's here in town.
Yeah, right. So he played the fancy place, and then he wanted to come play some blues, so he came and played with us, and we ended up being friends with him for still. Of course, he writes a lot, and he would put us in his article. It was great. It helped out a bunch. But yeah, that's been a bit.
Yeah, that was, gosh, what year was that?
Had to be 2000, 99 or 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Newberry had the big drums that I bought. Yeah, that would have been about then.
Because you had Steven playing bass still, if I remember right.
Yeah, so he left in 2001.
Okay.
We were playing a lot of Missouri gigs because we were doing the Grand Emporium a bunch. So we were going up there playing, then we'd go all over Sedalia, then Columbia, then down through Springfield again, usually on the way home, or up through Springfield and then circle around to those places, St. Louis, all that. Been everywhere.
Yeah, you had quite a bass following here in Springfield at that time, because you would sell out about every place you played here.
It was fun. Yeah, great people. I still have some of those people that I see on social media here and there, and so it's always nice to talk to those folks.
I can't remember the name of the disc, but you had another disc that came out about that time. And the song that I'm remembering right now is called Tornado Blues.
Mm-hmm. Trio,
yeah.
Another example of my amazing marketing skills. Yeah. My kid's here.
What's that?
Hey, you have to put your chair where they can see, or that one. That'll work right there. That's Cody, my son.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
So we're joined by Cody, Scott's son here.
And Tom, and Scott Springfield is on there a little bit, it looks like.
Nice to meet you guys.
You met Scott when you were about like 10. And here comes my daughter. Come in here. Come here so they can see you real quick. There's my daughter Zoe.
Hey, how are you? Nice to meet you.
There's a podcast.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Okay, she's out.
Brother Cody.
Yes. And so we're out. I built a 900 square. Scott Springfield hadn't been over here since I built the studios. Gosh, that's been 12. She's 12, so 12 years. I built a 900 square foot studio out here. We're in the control room, and it's all kind of, we got stuff everywhere because we're redoing it because we're getting ready to record again out here. And of course, I do a lot of projects for other people.
Yeah, we were talking off camera there. You've got a new project coming up. So explain that a little bit.
We're gonna throw a bunch of crap and tune up guitars, or maybe not even tune them and record it.
There you go. Yeah, it'll sell. It'll sell.
That's the beautiful thing about nowadays is I don't have to care whether it sells or not. I mean, I certainly would love for it to, but you know, yeah. So it's a nice balance now. I have music in all parts of my life, but so I was talking to Tom earlier. I'm a master's level counselor and I work with trauma kids mostly. So what are you doing? What are you doing back there?
Me?
Oh, is she throwing stuff at you? Throwing stuff at you. Perfect.
Great. Yeah. Hey, it's live, man. Whatever happens, happens.
Got all three of us stooges.
All right.
Huh?
Where are the dry erase markers?
Zoe, I don't know where they're under the guitar somewhere. I don't know. So anyway, that's what's going on around here.
That's right. So okay, you want to
Zoe, honey, I haven't wired that stuff up, so you can't knock that. I don't know where the dry erase markers are. I don't have any. Sorry, having a dry erase marker crisis.
There you go. So do you want to elaborate other than untuned guitars on the new project?
I wrote a bunch of songs again, as always, and we're doing pre-production. And for us, that means me figuring out if I want words or not. And
All right.
And I write all this stuff, and then I give it to everybody, and then they write their parts and all of that stuff. And usually when they do that, I go, "Ooh, I like that," or "This is happy mistake," or this, that, or the other thing. And then I kind of redo some stuff. But this time we're going to do it live. So that's why we're redoing the studio. We won't use the control room. We're just going to be I'm going to film it, but we're going to record it all live. So basically we just get together after I get the songs kind of ordered and tight where I want them. And then we rehearse a couple times. I don't like to rehearse it to death. And then if any happy accidents come out of that, I'll retool and then we'll cut it. And that's the way it'll go.
So are you kind of a mad scientist in the studio, or are you, whatever happens, or are you more like Nick Lowe, the basher?
So for our stuff, for my music, much more just bashing it out like Saint Nick. But I do record. I have done projects. There's a project I do for a guy named John Nordlinger, who's a wonderful friend of mine. And it's called Genuine Hick. And it's like the weirdest shit. I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. It's fantastic. I think it's very creative. It can be everything from an orchestra on there to a punk song it's just bizarre. It's on Spotify. That was something I probably should have put up links to that, but different things I've been doing. But yeah, so yes, both, but not usually for me. Usually for me, I don't have the attention span for that. Plus, I know what I got to do to recreate it live, so I don't really want to have it be intricate.
Now, the last disc I have from you, I believe, is Living the Dream.
Yeah, that's my daughter on the cover.
Is it really? Oh, wow. That's nice.
The one that you just saw. And the story behind that is what you can't see is she was a couple months old and she had a tumor on the side of her neck.
Oh, good Lord.
And we didn't know if it was torticollis, which is a benign kind of thing that's rare, or neuroblastoma. So it was very, it was a stressful thing. But as you can see, it worked out. Yeah. And so we did that record at a friend of mine's studio before this one was built, just right before it was built.
Now, you may remember my son Seamus used to come to a lot of shows with me, and I still have this picture of you with Seamus, and it runs through my Facebook memories every once in a while. I post it every time it comes up. But when my son was in the hospital with leukemia, you sent him that disc, and he would play that disc in his room, and the nurses and the therapist would come in there, and they go, "What is that?" So he'd go on. This is my This is Scott Keeton. What kind of music is that? So you tell me. Some would call it country, some call it blues, some say, well, that's old rock and roll. Nobody really had a name.
Yeah, that's the way it always is. But yeah, that's yes, of course. And I just love, all the kids that come out. But of course, your son was very old soul when it came to his appreciation of certain types of music.
So did you guys, I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but do you feel like playing something?
Yeah, I can play something. That guitar is maybe kind of in tune.
Maybe kind of.
Here, play an A. A pick. What I got to do? Play it for you? Here. Pick. Play. D. I have no idea where a tuner is. I've taken. You got one? Use your phone or something. He's going to tune that up.
All right. Well, you and I will fill some time until then. You want to start with something on your own?
I'm going to make it tune to me. I'm not going to tune up. That's too much. One thin white line on the mighty road. 40 days I've been all alone, dragging my heart all across this world. I got 100 miles to go before I get back to see my girl. It's a long, long way walking down these tracks. A heavy load right upon my back. I'd swallow the ocean, baby, just to find a pearl. I got 100 miles to go before I get back to see my girl. I ain't got nothing, baby. I got nothing to lose. So I keep walking, baby, away the blues. The cup is broken, baby, but it's half full. I got 100 miles to go before I get back to see my girl.
All right. I love that tune, man.
Yay!
All right. You guys always put on just such an electrifying show. I was saying while you were off there, I mean, it wasn't just the music was incredible. You had a way of bringing the audience into the show.
Well, you got to do whatever you got to do. Look at me. Look at me. That kind of thing.
I remember you talk about muddy waters, during your set. So you, again, I'm going to paraphrase slightly because I don't remember the exact quote, but you said you spent a lot of time you said at the time, young life, trying to figure out how he did the things he did.
Yeah, sure. And that was the great Bob Margolin story. We were talking about him and playing
Yeah.
at Nathan's with that.
I'll tell you another great thing about that show with Bob Margolin. You guys did a great set together, and he came down. I was sitting at the bar, and he came down and sat next to me. And that dude talked to me for a good 20 minutes or so. He's just amazing, humble individual.
Yeah, he's a wonderful cat. He still is. I mean, he's just, I mean, come on. If you put on the last waltz, there he is.
That's right. Yeah, I kind of do this other thing where I'm drinking more alcohol, and he's given me permission to use a couple of his songs in the show, but he's always real careful not to use, because a lot of the songs he's co-written with other folks. So the stuff he's done by himself, he's let me use. So
yeah. He knows what's up when it comes to that stuff. Plus, none of us want to get sued. I have been. It's overrated.
Is it really? It's not a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite a venue maybe throughout the years?
Well, those ones I was just talking.
Or is there one that just kind of sticks to mind, either good, bad, or indifferent?
Oh, there's a ton of them. I mean, there's people who've been, we couldn't have done it without people like Bob and them at Nathan's, and then all over the Zoo Bar, Lincoln, and Pete Waters, and before that it was Larry Beamer and his sons in Lincoln, Nebraska, and the Grand Emporium, and Roger Neighbor, who you guys probably know Roger Neighbor because he's the one that did the legendary Blues Cruise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he owned the Grand Emporium for a long time, and he was Brody Buster's manager and a couple other people's, I think, too. And gosh, so many of them. We were talking about the Belly Up in Solana.
Yeah.
Which, and Harvell's in Santa Monica, Danny's Blue Saloon in Oklahoma City.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic room for a long time. Really fun. Just the right mix of scary and just safe enough that some folks would come, but there's nothing like pulling into a place and having 200 people come to listen to you do your thing, your shtick.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. And then sometimes much more. I've played just about every important theater in North America at one time or another, either with our band or with Eric Idle from Monty Python or Bo Diddley.
Yeah. You want to tell folks about your time with Eric Idle?
Yeah, sure.
For those of us of a certain age, you might have to be a certain age to know who he is, but a Monty Python legend.
Yeah, Sir Robin in the Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Of course, we got the Ruddles, right?
Yeah, the Ruddles, absolutely. And what else? I'm trying to think. So Nuns on the Run.
Yeah.
And of course he has all those enormous cameos in, like European Vacation. He's the guy that they hit on the bike.
Yeah.
All the Monty Python movies. The main thing let me see that real quick. So Eric, they were trying to figure out how to end Life of Brian, the Python movie. And so Eric was like, why don't we end it with a song, Some things in life are bad. They can really make you mad. Other things just make you swear and curse. If you're feeding on the dump, left to the chumps. And listen, this'll turn out for the best. And always look on the bright side of life. So that was the #1 hit, and it's still played at
the great tune, man.
All the football matches. And so I played that, every night with him for, on and off for, on the tours, 2000, 2003. And so that came about because my friend Kenny Phillips did the production for a show called Rob Becker's Defending the Caveman, which was the longest running one-man Broadway comedy of all time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And a relationship comedy. It's fantastic. Rob's a super good dude. And he wrote that all on his own and took it to clubs and took a big chance, and it just blew up. And as far as I know, I think he just went ahead and retired off that, even though lots of people wanted him to do TV and all kinds of stuff. But and his production manager was Kenny Phillips, and his tour manager was excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember everybody, and it's hard to do. But anyway, Kenny Phillips is from Oklahoma City, played keys, helped produce some of my records, had a studio. And he also had the same birthday, May 3rd, as me. Todd Grove was the production manager, or the tour manager. Anyway, all those guys, we were thick as thieves. And it turned out that the people it wasn't Warner WMG. It was William Morris. William Morris at the time, before it was William Morris Endeavor. Anyway, the big booking agency, they just happened to be in there picking up a check, and they were like, "Hey, you guys are off with Rob for whatever it was, 6-7 months. You want to do production for Eric Idle?" And they met, and it worked out. Anyway, they brought me on at first just to help with production. I was like, "Hey, $2,000 a week plus per diem and stuff, I'm in."
There you go.
Go work with movie stars and a bunch of comedians. And so I did that. And then sooner or later I was playing in the show. And so it was, we did Carnegie Hall, the one in New York City, not the one in Paris, Texas. And
Nice.
What else did we do? We did Massey Hall, which is kind of like the Carnegie Hall of Canada, and Rush was there. So that was cool.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my first concert. Actually, my first arena show was Rush back in 1980. Yeah.
Really?
The Moving Pictures tour.
Yeah. Well, that's the one to see, I think, from what I've heard. But they were super nice guys. I just met so many people. And of course, every comedian you can think of. Eddie Izzard.
Oh, really? Wow. How was that?
Oh, yeah. He's a wonderful guy. He was fantastic. But they were great friends. So he hung out with us. We I remember we had a couple of days off in Boston, did the show, and he came out and hung out with us. I don't know who else. Robin Williams at the
wow.
At the not the Wiltern in San Francisco, the Warfield, which is in the Tenderloin. You go down. Back then I smoked cigarettes, so you go down, and the only place they let you smoke was this. Literally, it's built into kind of a rock, so there's almost like these caves that are dressing rooms down a couple flights down. And this true story. So I'm there, I'm grabbing a smoke, and I'm looking up, and it's smoky because everybody's in there. Anyway, I look up, and there's this wall that has all these signatures on it, and I'm looking, and it's Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix. No, I don't think it was Hendrix. Anyway, all these, I took a picture of it. Back then, it was a actual picture with a camera with film you had to develop. So anyway, I'm getting somewhere, I swear. So I'm running.
I'm with you, man.
I'm running, and the show's getting ready to start. I'm done. I'm running back up to get to my cue, and there's this totally narrow stone kind of staircase, and this is no shit. I'm going like this, trying to get up it, and I look up, and my head goes under Sharon Stone's skirt. She was coming down. She was coming down. I mean, it wasn't nasty or nothing. It was just like, oh God, hey. And then I look up, and it's literally Sharon Stone with her husband and Francis Ford Coppola trying to get down the stairs. So I had to turn around and go back down the stairs, and then they come down, and then I'm like, and then go back up. And then Robin Williams came out and did Lumberjack song with us.
Well, that was quite a meet cute you had there.
Yeah, it was.
Hey, I assume your son's got the guitar too, so he's just sitting back there patiently. Is there something you guys want to play?
I don't know. What are we getting paid for this again?
This is out of the goodness of your heart, man.
Oh, wow. You obviously didn't read my bio. What is it? Turn it up. You need something? Go get you something. You want some sticks or something?
Can I get some headphones, please?
Some what?
Headphones, please?
No. You don't need headphones, baby. We're not recording. My daughter's looking for something.
Gotcha.
I don't know. No, what was the other song you were
We
talking
talked about drinking whiskey earlier.
yeah,
I don't know if you thought you could play that one. Yeah.
E minor. I leave the house and I look real deep. I'm looking for a place I can park my machine. I got $100 bill and a brand new suit. I'm looking for the place with that forbidden fruit. 10 o'clock and we feel alright. Drinking whiskey till the morning light. Falling down, but I can't get enough. I need another shot of your loving stuff. I'm feeling kind of dizzy. Can you help me, please? I keep on loving, baby, on my knees. Hey, little sister, I ain't looking to fight. Drink the whiskey till the morning light.
That was awesome, man. I love that too.
Yeah.
So he's pretty good. Does he do any music on his own, or is he just leading dad around these days?
A little bit. I play with some buddies my age, but mainly I like to play with dad and try and hang with those guys. So.
I pay better.
Yeah.
You're,
Pretty
you
much.
have no fronts.
Pretty
So.
much.
You got your 10 Acre Rock band.
Yeah.
That's what that's called. And then what's the synth 80s thing called?
The gatefolds. Yeah. So we play in a band with some keyboards and then a rock and roll band, try and play some music like dad does. So.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Are you playing mostly around the OKC area?
That and then a couple hours south of OKC, so southern Oklahoma, North Texas.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
The sprawling metropolis of Tishomingo.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. That was awesome, man. So have you wrote some tunes on your own as well then?
I actually have not really. No. I'm looking to start though for sure. Try and get in here with dad on this new record and learn the ways of the studio and see what I can start figuring out for sure.
Well, what rhymes with whisperer?
I can't think of a damn thing.
When
Yeah, I don't know how you can, you might, if you just weave drunken fool into a song, I know you're talking about me.
The beer whisperer, the beer whisperer. Everybody come and listen to the beer whisperer. Well,
Yeah, write me a theme song, and I'll send you a check.
we'll have to write you some music. I think it should be maybe more noir, like
Yeah.
that.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
The beer whisperer.
Get a little spaghetti western feel in there.
Yes, we'll steal 20 seconds of that so we don't get sued.
Only 30 seconds, because 30 seconds meaning you can get sued.
That's right.
So we talked about your new project again a little bit earlier, but what musical direction are you heading with that?
Same old stuff I do. It just comes from all over, you know.
Are you taking it in a different place, or you still got that roots, that Americana roots feel? Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried, and I still can't stop sounding like me.
Yeah, that's what I tell people too. Yeah.
I have.
And at this age, we're not changing, are we?
I haven't been successful in trying to pretend to be somebody else. So
Oh, mercy.
it's gonna have to do whatever it is. Yeah. So I've been working on all kinds of different stuff. I got a cool instrumental. I should have had some stuff queued up. I had some demos, but that's the main theme for a song called Zoe's Song. Once again, by the time I get the music together, I'm so brain dead. I just, you asked me about that record. I was like, yeah, it was called Trio.
Yeah. And I couldn't remember that. How could I not remember? I couldn't remember the disc. I had the disc.
Yeah.
So the song I remember from that disc, though, was Tornado Blues. Used to tell a good story for that song.
You play that. That's a blues in G. I usually do it in slide. I'll have to open G. I'll have to. I can probably paraphrase it, but yeah. So funny story. We got I think it was Wichita Blues Society or somebody reviewed that record. Oh no, it was Kansas City Blues Society reviewed that record, and the first line was, "Don't let the incredibly unimaginative title fool you."
That's funny.
Yeah. So like kind of like a slow blues. Then it goes to 4 minor. Well, there ain't no dancing in town anymore. Well, there ain't no dancing in town anymore. No, wait. God, it's been so long, Tom.
I'll put you on the
No dancing in town anymore. Well, there ain't no dancing in town where the wind blew everything down. Well, there ain't no dancing in town anymore. Well, it's twist up. Well, it's yesterday. So it's twist up. Well, it's yesterday's news. There you go. Well, everything down, and now we got the tornado blue.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
Oh, mercy.
Emo music.
emo music.
Yup.
That is emo music for grown-ups.
Yup.
I thought of it that way, but yeah. Now you used to open for, or you were backing band for Bo Diddley for a long time too.
Yeah. So we did a show. The first one I ever did was in Oklahoma City. I believe it was 99. It was right after that JSP record. And Bo would travel around and he just used whoever. He didn't, I mean, it wasn't that he didn't care, but so a couple things about Bo Diddley. You know, if there's a Mount Rushmore of rock and roll, he should be on it. He had to be paid in cash. So he had to be paid in cash and count it before the show would start.
Oh, really? Wow.
He would pull up. He wasn't quite like Chuck Berry. So we did Chuck Berry too. But anyway, so Bo was very magnanimous, very kind. Most of the time. He was always that way to me. But, you know, he told me, you know, after we had done the show, because we knew all his stuff, because that's my thing. And so we did the show. And after that, he was like, anytime I come around in this region, you need to be the band. And so that's what we did a lot of times. Not every single time he was around, but certainly every time he was in Oklahoma City or anywhere in Oklahoma, and that kind of thing. Because, you know, a lot of those folks like him and Chuck would just tell the promoter, get a band. And they would show up and they would count the money and then they would go out and play. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not so good. You know, they were always the same, but the bands, you know, the level and whether they knew it or not. Yeah. I'll never forget. We were playing in Tulsa one time doing a Bo Diddley, and it was not a matinee, but it was a show. And then they'd clear the room and then they did another show. And it was in between. So he was counting his money in the office and I was in there and he was, you know, and doing his thing. And I, you know, the number was significant, you know, and he was almost done. And somebody kept knocking on the dressing room door. And Max Baker, bless his heart, crazy guy, promoter, all kinds of, I mean, he's got his own podcast. It's hilarious. But anyway, Max opens the door and talks to somebody and then closes the door and goes, hey, Bo. Hey, Max talks like this. He goes, hey, Bo, do you know Junior Brown? Bo goes, you just made me lose count. I don't know no Brown Jr. Tell him, leave me alone.
Oh, mercy.
Pissed Junior Brown off, too. It's great.
That's funny. So you had to start counting again, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you know, he went out and talked to Junior later, and all of that, but it was very funny.
That's
yeah.
funny.
Oh, you know, we played with him until he passed away, on and off until 2008. Was it 2008? Yeah, 2008. And he was just great. There's a couple YouTube videos, or maybe more than a couple, of us playing with him and talking with him. And
yeah, I found a few on YouTube.
Yeah, and there's a couple with me and Eric Idle and whatnot, and all those people. So I'm not just bullshitting. It really.
Oh, mercy. So when I had Scott Ellison on, he was talking about how when he was coming up, some of the, you know, the elder musicians that kind of, you know, took him under his wing. Did you have that in OKC as well? Did you have some musicians kind of, you know, help you up?
Well, yeah, sure. I don't know, help you. You know, certainly Kenny was huge because he let us live at his house and make records, all kinds of stuff. But of course, he was tied in with the old. So you get these kind of not generational necessarily, but certainly folks who were more established before you. Around here, that was certainly Otis Watkins, a lot of different people. I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch. Otis, both Kenny and Otis passed away in 2020. 2019 and then 2020. and just amazing, total monster on the guitar. Steve Pryor, of course, from the Tulsa area, was always very good to me. I got a great story about Steve. Of course, Steve passed as well. Man. So I had just gotten divorced and I was struggling to keep this house. You know how it is with a divorce. And so I'll never forget. I was gigging, doing everything I could. But that month it was just, a little short, and they turned the electricity off. So I was, it was a Wednesday or something. I was reading by candlelight because I couldn't get the stuff turned back on until the next day. And there's the doorbell. No, it didn't ring because the electricity was off, but somebody knocked on the door. And I went and opened the door, and it was Steve Pryor.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what? Because he didn't know where I lived. I mean, we knew each other from gigs and festivals and stuff. But anyway, I guess Steve had taken a day gig going around for mortgage companies to make sure if you were behind on your mortgage or whatnot, that you still lived there and you hadn't just abandoned the house.
Oh, gotcha.
And he could have been, he just kind of looked around. And, before I could even try to explain, he was just like, man, I get it. And he left, and I guess he gave me a good report, and I was able to keep the house. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
So that is a bizarro, weirdo way that he was just so nice. And, there was always kind of friendly rivalry stuff too, but he didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But he was, all these amazing talents. Who am I forgetting? Bob Morgolin, we were talking about. He talked about us in Blues Review and all those magazines that he did.
Yeah, I've read a couple magazines or a couple articles where he talked about the deviants. I said, hey, wife, you got to read this article.
Yeah. Man, gosh. So many different musicians played with. We were always gigging so hard, though. You only see people in airports or the truck stop, or or in those rare instances where you're at the festivals together. I did a ton of festivals on the same bill with Pryor and Otis. We'd do the Breakdown Blues Festival every year. That's that photo I showed you of Cody when he was little, playing the guitar. And Zoe did it too. Gosh, I'm sure I'm thinking of somebody.
So I've talked to the musicians that I've talked to. I'll say that 2020 was rough on all of us, but a lot of them took the time to really just dig in. Scott Ellison told me he would spend 5-6 hours just working on his slide technique. So as bad as it was, he said, I became a better player. Did that do something similar for you?
No, I didn't.
No? Okay. All right.
No, not at all. I play, but practicing has not probably as evidenced as the tunes we play. But I play pretty much live, or I play when we're playing. I do work on songs, and I will practice things, but it's usually in songwriting aspects. I don't sit around and play scales or stuff like that. I haven't done that in a long time. If it's so, like I told you, I went to, music school. So I did a lot of the hard stuff, But anyway, nowadays it might be a jazz, I don't know, or steal a Bach thing, So that's that counterpoint thing. I stole that and then do an arrangement of Fly Me to the Moon or something, and then steal it. So different things like that. But no, I haven't really sat around just kind of, but I could see that. Of course, Scott's Scott's a better guitar player than I am, Elliot. He's a wonderful musician. Is he still in Tulsa?
Yeah, he's still in Tulsa. Yeah, he's out on tour now too, believe it or not. Yeah, I talked with him a couple of weeks ago, and he's got a new album coming out in March.
Good. Well, good for him. I like putting the records out. I just don't like traveling anymore.
I get that. Yeah, 2020 kind of ruined me. I mean, I don't want to go anywhere anymore, to be honest with you. I mean, I've got to get up and go to work, but I used to like to go out, and hell, I want to be home. I don't want to be I don't want to go see anybody where I have to be out past 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
I want to be home and comfortable by 7. Yeah,
it certainly has changed the landscape. If I get my druthers, I'm probably, after we kind of get worked back up again, I may just do live shows streaming. I've had a lot of people ask for it.
Yeah, that's a great way to get music out.
We have the facility. I got all the stuff and spent all that stupid money on all these getters and stuff. Might as well use them. But
yeah, I mean, you can set it up through Zoom or StreamYard. I mean, a lot of folks were doing, especially in 2020.
Yeah, but I think I can't remember if we talked about it after we were live, but unless it's just a whole lot of money or a whole lot of fun or some kind of good mixture of both, the thought of me jumping in the van and going back out for months at a time, I did that for 30 years.
Yeah.
So COVID had some unexpected intentions. Like I told you, I was teaching at UCO in the music department for 8 years, and that kind of came to an end, which was good. And so I became the clinical director at an inpatient adolescent and child facility for kids who've had severe trauma. And so I'm not the clinical director anymore. I'm just a therapist there, but I have some unique training and some unique stuff that kind of, and the music helps a bunch too.
That was going to be my next question. Do you use music in your?
Oh yeah.
In your technique, yeah.
Yeah, in my little office, I've got a keyboard and then, of course, a computer where, and then I've got a guitar amp and a guitar, and they all respond to that, and we use that. In fact, not to get too technical, but trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, which is the type of therapy, along with some others that I use for that specific thing, there's a thing called a trauma narrative that you build up to try to be able to talk about some of the tough things that have happened, and we'll often use songs instead of a normal like trauma narrative, which is encouraged in that modality. So it's poems, songs, we've done raps, all kinds of stuff, and they really respond to that. It's difficult, it's hard, but it is certainly absolutely super rewarding. And it pays really good.
Well, there you go. See, that's what's important. Yeah. But I love how you've been able to still tie your musical training into it as well.
I've been very lucky in that aspect because it certainly wasn't planned. So extremely blessed and lucky that I've been able to kind of adapt and change whatnot. And I still love playing shows. We'll play some this spring. I'm not going to go get out on the ice. Ike Lamb used to play bass with us. I just saw a post. He plays with a band called Dirty Red and something. They're like trying to get out of Oklahoma to go to Arizona or something. And I'm just looking at that with the ice and all the wrecks and the stuff they're posting. And I'm going, yeah, I'm not doing that. That's all. The show, I'll be glad to fly in and play the show, but gosh, sitting around in a van with 3 or 4 other stinky people is not. It's not as glamorous as maybe some would like.
As glamorous as it sounds.
I've done it on the most expensive $1 million buses, and I've done it in the $200 vans, and it's it's hard to do in any of them. Traveling is like that. It's just hard.
And I imagine it's not any easier as you get older, because I know for me, I've gotten old, fat, and gassy, and like we were talking earlier, I am well into my curmudgeon phase at this point.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to set me off.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, so, like I said, I still love doing the shows. We like going up to Lincoln and Omaha and some of the places where it's still. I'd like to come back to Springfield, like we were talking about, find a good place to play, you know, and do some of those, especially after this record comes out. I'd love to be able to come around. I don't even know if I'm going to sell it. I think I'm just going to give it away online and, you know, to some degree, physical copies if anybody still wants those.
Speaking of that, what are your thoughts on streaming platforms?
Well, nobody gets paid. I mean,
Well, yes, yeah.
I mean, so I sold a lot of pieces of plastic, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Not like, top, 40 people or whatever, but for a guy who basically did everything himself with a few little labels here and there, I kept 4, 5, 6 people working and their families fed for a long time, basically up until 2020. And, that was, getting out there with the merch and the, all of the stuff and hustling and doing it and hustling up the gigs. And, streaming's fantastic, but there's a trade-off for everything with familiarity, or however you want to put it. I mean, the fact that everybody can get it on demand, so to speak, reduces the demand.
Ah, okay.
Right. And nobody wants a piece of plastic anymore. So what?
Yeah, only those of us of a certain age, I guess. I mean, even though I can catch music on my Spotify, anytime I can buy a hard copy, I buy a hard copy, just for that reason. Yeah.
Sure, and that's cool, and I'm glad for that. But I mean, it doesn't make sense to press 10,000 of them and carry them around.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
And records, it's bless everybody's hearts. I think it's wonderful, and I'm sure it does sound better to some people. I remember I'm 50. I'll be 55. I remember having a stupid record collection. You had to haul around and worry about it being too hot or too cold.
Yeah.
It wasn't very fun.
No. There is some convenience to the streaming service, I guess. That's as an old guy, I have a hard time with technology, but that's one thing I've figured out.
Dude,
I don't even listen to the radio anymore. I just pull up that. So I guess if there's a positive from a listener point of view, is I've been able to locate music that I wouldn't be able to get otherwise, right? I'm listening to music that my local radio stations would never ever play. So I'm able to find bands. Yes. And then for myself, I can hopefully find a hard copy to put some money in that band's pocket.
Yeah, so I'll sell the merch. I'll sell the hell out of the merch still. I'll redo the website or put it back up. Right now, I think it just directs to the Facebook page. But and I'm lucky. I'm blessed. There's probably 3,000-4,000 people across the world who still give a shit. So, I'll.
But we're getting old, man. You better get that on there quick. We don't have much left in us.
So I will. And like I said, it's just, so the good news is everybody can get it cheap and easy. The bad news is everybody can get it cheap and easy. If you're the artist. So streaming pays nothing. I mean, 1 million streams is nothing.
Yeah.
And it's not going to change. But this is so. I used to, for my students who were freaking out about it and stuff back when I taught at the university, I would take these articles and take the print from 19, I can't remember when it was from, but it was right about the time that records came out, shellac and stuff like that. And you had articles that were talking about how this was, all these musicians were like, well, I guess I'll go be an accountant now because being a musician is over. Because before that, you had to have them come play live. You had to hire a band for your parlor or your yard or your party or whatever. And then all of a sudden people could play records, and then radio. And so you have these instances of where everybody freaks out. And yes, some people don't adapt and they go away. Some people do and they stay. So I'm cool with that. I'm cool with adapting, but it's easy for me to say because all of my money came from being on the road and merch. It didn't come from selling records so much.
Yeah.
So it really isn't, I can't imagine somebody who's used to, getting paid. Now everything is what we call these 360 deals, which means that if you are on a label, why? Number one, because you can do it all yourself. Number two, they take money off your touring and your merch. It's backwards than it used to be. So the money used to be lost on the record and made, it used to be lost on touring. In other words, it was a loss leader to promote the record, and the money was made on the record. Now the money is backwards. The record is a loss leader that you don't make any money to promote your show.
Yeah. So we used to say all the money was made in the concessions, not on the gate.
Yeah. So that's where it's just completely flip-flopped, and a lot of people just did not get it. It's evolution. It's all of those things. So no, you are not going to make money on your music, but there's still ways to make money.
So on Spotify, Living the Dream, you have on Spotify. Have you had any desire to put any more of your catalog on any streaming services?
Yeah. To be honest, and this is
because I'd love to find some of those old songs again because I can't find my discs.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, I'll get you some. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put everything up there. I just haven't gotten around to it. And I didn't put the Living the Dream record up there. So that's a little spooky. I don't know how it got there.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I don't know who's getting paid for it. That's even scarier.
Well, it's got your name. It says it's your account. I don't know. Huh? That's weird.
It's not that weird in the music business. But anyway, that's all mine. So I can put everything but the JSP record up there. I would have to get permission, and I don't know. But the end around that, not trying to screw JSP or nothing. I don't even know if they're still there, but would be just to re-record my songs, which were
yeah.
So you asked if there was any covers. No, but I'm covering myself. So I yeah. And by the way,
bring it back to life. Hey, man.
Yes, and I stole that from Taylor Swift. So
you didn't date her too, did you?
No. She wouldn't have me. So but she apparently broke up with her label and had to re-record her whole first record or something. I don't know what the deal was, but I thought, that's a good idea. I think I'll do that for the ones that I don't fully own, but I own all the songs. So, So, more industry crap that probably nobody cares about. But yeah, man, I love music. I still love it as much or more. It's totally fun to go out and watch him get a kick out of doing certain things. And I love watching all of my kids be musical. And they're good at it. So
good. Clearly he's very good. So yeah. Hey, Cody, can I ask you a question? Do you have any desire to do any touring?
If the option arose, I would possibly be interested for sure. But at the moment, we're just trying to get my feet on the ground in the music business and see what I can do and get better as a guitar player. So.
Well, you've got you've got a great tutor right there, I guess.
Exactly.
To tell you what mistakes not to make.
For sure. Yeah. He's helped me with everything that has gotten me to the point that I am now, and hopefully I can get better and better. So.
And
that's incredible.
So yesterday I told him cleaning the gutters would advance his music career. So
wax on, wax off kind of thing.
Shut up, Tom. So yes, he's doing very well. Wax on, wax off. We're doing a lot of that.
So you got to build up the strength, those finger strength.
I've had him invest portions of his check. So I'm screwing him over monetarily to get him ready for the big music business.
Well, see, that's a life lesson. Yeah.
Yes, it is actually. But if anybody else listening, if you want me to teach you the music business, send me $200 and I won't respond. And that's your first lesson.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Almost every musician can identify with what you just said. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the old, joke. Used to be you take out the ad that says, how do you make, I don't know, it used to be $1,000. The ad says, how do you make $1,000? Send me 100 and I'll tell you. And that's exactly what it is.
Oh man.
But yeah, so what's been going on with you, man?
So, well, I didn't tour a lot like you. I don't have, I never had that kind of talent, but I spent a lot of years in the retail. So I was a retail manager for about 25 years, and I never saw my family because that's the retail business. So, and then we went through the issues with our son, and I just I gave up for a little bit, to be honest with you. I just I did a lot of not gigs like you, but kind of gig economy stuff to try to keep getting by. But I lucked into a great job about 4 years ago, working with well, I don't want to say the name of the company because some people are always out to get you, but I work with a nonprofit, let's just say, and I'm able to bring food to programs and to some kids that they call it at risk after school care.
Right.
So that's kind of what I do now, and it allows me to use the inventory management, all the skills that I learned at 25 years as a manager. But now I've got the greatest hours known to man. I'm off weekends for the first time. It took me, I had to be an old man before I got weekends off, but now I'm off weekends, and my schedule is basically tied into public schools. So if we've got a snow day, I'm off work too. So
Cool.
so it is a great gig. I mean, I've made more money doing other things, in all honesty, but I feel better doing this job than working retail. I'm not trying to sell anything to anybody. I get food where it needs to be. I write menus. I write healthy menus. There's a lot of nutrition involved, so that's
cool.
It's a lot of fun.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'll translate for the people that are maybe listening. Both Tom and I are doing things differently now. We're doing stuff that helps people so we can get into heaven.
That's right, because we did a lot of stuff before that's going to take us another direction. Although I got to be honest with you, I think most of my friends are going the other place, so I'm not sure what's going to be more fun.
Well, a gentleman doesn't talk about politics or religion.
Well, I've been accused of being a lot of things, but I'm not sure gentleman has been one of them.
Me either.
Oh man, hey, I appreciate you joining me at the pub. Would you guys mind playing one more tune before we call it a night?
Oh yeah, why not?
I mean, you can play a 30-minute set. I don't care, but give us at least one more tune.
That's a well. No, I don't want to. You can't do any covers, right? Tom, you can't do any covers, can you?
Do whatever you want to do.
I don't know. Damn, I might need to get some of my records down to know what the hell songs are on there.
Hang on, I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. Huh.
Let you go.
What?
Let you go.
All right.
Yeah, that. So this was on that trio.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
This is on that trio record.
Oh yeah.
Oh wait, that's awful high. That was 25 years ago. So, oh.
Yeah, do the falsetto. There you go. Hit the falsetto for it.
Oh, let's do something a little lower than that. I'm not standing up. Good grief. What was on the... Well, yeah, do that. Do E. So we cut this on that last record.
Okay.
And I did it with Otis Watkins, who's a wonderful guitar player, like I said, that had passed. But before he passed, I was so lucky he played on that. And that's actually been on quite a few little blues radio things, but we were doing Catfish Blues.
Oh, yeah.
So E, right? Well, I will. I was a captain, swimming in a hole deep blue sea. I'd have all your pretty women, baby, swimming after me. Swimming after me. Sure enough, yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Well, I went to my baby's house, and I sat down on a step. She said, well, come on in now, honey, baby. My husband just now left. My husband just now left. Sure enough, yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Come on. Hey, thanks for having us on here, Tom.
Hey, no, thank you, man. It's been a pleasure. I mean, folks that tune in, we're in for a treat tonight. You guys are great. Thanks, Cody. I appreciate you jumping in there too, man. And let me know, keep me posted on the new stuff. Let me know when that's getting closer, and maybe we can get you back on to talk about the new
I'd
stuff.
love to.
Maybe I can get to your neck of the woods and check it out.
You got it, man. Love you guys very much. See ya.
And don't drop off when I go off air. Stay on for a second. I want to ask you a question. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us at the pub. Scott Keeton, Cody, thanks, guys. You're awesome. I am Tom the Beer Whisperer, beer evangelist, prolific beer drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and all around good guy. Thanks, guys.